Today, the making of a modern-day American supercar as horsepower, MagnaFlow, and racing legend Mario Andretti team up for one of the coolest performance and cosmetic projects ever. The result, a one-of-a-kind Camaro with a big-hearted mission.
For 5 generations, GM has been perfecting the Camaro. Well, today in the shop, we're taking this one to the next level of supercar status. We've got a package designed for this one to give it the ultimate in high performance and styling. While it came off the assembly line as a factory hot rod, thanks to the aftermarket, it's also a great new platform for performance modifications. Then when it leaves, it'll tour the country at all kinds of special events. Then it gets auctioned off at Barrett-Jackson with every single dollar going to the Wounded Warrior Project. You see, it's all part of a generous mission shared by MagnaFlow and perhaps the world's greatest racer of all times, Mario Andretti. His very name is synonymous with speed. He's the only driver to win the Indy 500, Daytona 500, and Formula One World Championship. And the only racer named U.S. Driver of the Year in 3 different decades. Mario Andretti's 109 career wins on major circuits makes for an amazing legacy. And even in retirement, he's still up for a worthy challenge. Recently, he went on a tour of U.S. military installations in the Mideast, giving free rides in a 2-seat race car, and meeting servicemen and women on duty. Then there were those he met who wished they could still be on duty. They're the ones who made extreme sacrifices, often permanent, in selfless service to their country.
And they all say, well, I would do it again. You know, it's amazing. That's the most amazing part to me, because I felt they had a calling.
Mario quickly had a calling to aid the families of wounded warriors by helping an organization dedicated to their cause.
The heart really goes out, you know, to these people, because it's also a life-changing situation for the families. If we can raise $1 million out of this project, that'll be like winning one of my biggest races for sure.
For years, Mario has been a spokesman for MagnaFlow. So he raced to them for support, and soon the concept of an Andretti Signature supercar was born.
In putting together a package to really make this car a supercar, we've got to address everything. We talk about brakes, we're going big brakes here. We got suspension, coilover setup for adjustability, sway bars to really handle all the corners. On top of that, we got big horsepower. We got a supercharger going in to really put the power to the ground. To make this a truly unique car as well, though, we really got to address the aesthetics. We have a body kit going on that'll help us with the front and the rear air control, as well as really making this a unique car worthy of a Mario Andretti edition. New components ready to go on.
Even more upgrades are in store underneath, like a MagnaFlow exhaust to replace the factories, from the cats all the way back. Then the drive shafts need to come out for replacement. We're removing everything connected to the tranny.
We're good. That'll do it.
And unbolting it along with the cross member that supports it.
With a little persuasion, we're off. The trans is free, and we can move it out of the way for now. This is so we can remove the stock clutch and the flywheel, which are getting replaced. Next, the wheels and tires come off, along with the brake calipers, which we'll let hang for now. Then the stock rotors. All the suspension pieces have to come out too. The sway bars and all the coilovers. The stock arms will be fine for our purpose. But these half shafts, while a welcomed upgrade for the 5th generation, will need to match the increased horsepower.
To make room for the underhood teardown work, we need to remove the Camaro's hood, which also gets replaced. The whole factory air box needs to go away. Then we can unplug the injectors, and after wrenching off several bolts, the stock manifold, throttle body, and fuel rails come out together. Now all that's left is cleaning the intake valley and taping up the head ports, and our teardown's a done deal. We're back, still thrashing on the Mario Andretti supercar.
With the teardown complete, our first upgrade is a CNC machine flywheel from ACT. To make sure it stays put, we're using ARP bolts and the Ultra Torque lube and torquing them to 65 foot-pounds. Now it's part of their T1S street strip clutch kit that includes twin discs, separated by a floater plate. Each disc is made from ceramic friction material. Then the pressure plate. Now it's designed to retain a stock-like pedal feel and is great for everyday street use. The whole kit's designed to handle 875 foot-pounds and it's SFI approved. Now the tranny's good to go back up.
Oh, there it goes.
And get bolted in place. Most of the shifter balls and everything in other cars, they actually screw on. This is just a press fit.
All right, the next upgrade involves the Camaro's half axles. We're replacing the stock ones with level 2s from the drive shaft shop rated at 600 horsepower. The bars are a much stronger heat-treated aerospace material, and another big difference is inside in the center cage. After sliding the first half shaft into the rear end housing and spindle, we can install our first iBlock Pro Street coilover. There's a lot of Formula One technology in this combo. The shocks are fully adjustable to any track condition, and with a fully threaded housing, we can adjust the ride height to anything we want. Then, top it off with beefier front and rear sway bars.
Ever wonder what a new Camaro looks like without a nose? Well, this one's coming off for 2 reasons. It'll give us more room to install the intercooler, plus it has to be off for body kit work later on. The rear panel's going away too, as well as the rear spoiler on the trunk.
Mike Spagnolo from Street Scene brought us one of his body styling kits for the new Camaro.
Well wrapped so it doesn't get scratched.
Most of the pieces are made of durable polyurethane instead of fiberglass.
A fiberglass piece looks great, but the first time you hit a rock or a curb or anything like that, you're going to break it. So urethane is just like your factory products. It feels like a plastic, but it'll take the knocks. There's quite a bit of styling that goes on and shaping and those sorts of things to get the right look that we want. Really gives us that SS look.
Yeah, it definitely brings it back.
Meanwhile, the car is getting the ultimate brake upgrade. A Brembro GT kit with 15-inch slotted 2-piece rotors, front and rear. And 6-piston calipers up front, red of course. The kit comes with stainless lines to connect the calipers to the stock ones. The first body pieces to go on are the rear wing. But since it's cold in here, Mike wants to add a little heat to make them more flexible. So 150 degrees in our Powder X oven for 5 minutes will do the trick. By the way, the sun will do just as well.
You don't have to worry about it cracking either.
With some adhesive promoter and a lot of tape,
You ready?
Mike and Richard carefully line up the middle wing piece.
Pretty good on your side?
Yeah.
And notice how the tape comes off without moving it.
This way, the tape goes down after we put it on.
No mistakes.
No mistakes.
It's the same process for the side pieces and for the rocker panels. They get a few screws as well. Before the nose goes back on, we need to install the MagnaCharger heat exchanger in front of the radiator and connect it to the pump.
We're ready to put the front clip back on.
The final Street Scene addition, a carbon fiber chin splitter.
We wanted to give it a mean attitude. We wanted to give it a road racer look. I mean, Andretti's name was a great road racer, and so we were hoping to accomplish a look that wasn't so much street custom, but more of a road racer, and I think we accomplished that.
No doubt Mike gave it the attitude. In a minute, we'll give it the muscle.
It's a new generation supercharger for the new Camaro, and you'll see how easy it is to boost an already stout LS. And later, racing's greatest competitor comes to the shop to turn a few wrenches and discover how much horsepower his signature supercar makes on the dyno.
The stock 6.2 Camaro is 360 horses strong at the wheels. Good, but not good enough to wear the Andretti signature. To give it supercar power worthy of its namesake, MagnaFlow turned to MagnaCharger for one of their TVS superchargers.
One of the reasons why we picked this supercharger was the fact that it's a California legal supercharger, which pretty much means it's legal everywhere. In order to be legal, it has to be efficient. And one of the key elements of why this supercharger is that way is that it's got an integral bypass valve. That bypass valve allows the car to operate like a naturally aspirated vehicle. Then when you get into the throttle, when you want that horsepower and you tip into that pedal, it'll deliver all that boost, and then the minute you take off, it goes back to natural aspiration mode. It bypasses all the belts and pulleys and internal components, really giving you that efficiency to run like a naturally aspirated car.
These are direct bolt-on units that reuse the factory throttle body with a new fuel supply manifold. We kept the stock harmonic balancer, but we used the kit's drill fixture to drill a couple of holes to install roll pins to prevent the balancer from twisting on the crankshaft, due to the extra stress the supercharger puts on the drive system.
Cool.
On each side of the engine, we disconnected the main coil connectors and removed the coil pack brackets so we could modify them, starting with removing the wire loom covers. Then we unthreaded the oil pressure sensor from the valley cover, reinstalled the sensor, dropped in the new valley cover and the new cover bolts. A dab of Loctite silicone holds the new O-rings in place. Next, we attached the new heater hoses to the firewall and the water pump. The Supercharger's intake manifolds come with new intake manifold gaskets, and after removing the tape covering the ports, they were almost ready to go on. A little Max Film lubricant on the surfaces give us some sliding movement to get everything lined up.
Let's do it. Let's get it in there. So what does this weigh?
It's about 65 pounds.
Wow.
Pretty close on your side?
Yeah.
You don't really have to have a lot of specialty tools to do this.
Nope.
The system comes with bigger 52 pound/hour injectors to feed the engine as it generates 5.5 pounds of boost. From start to finish, installing the supercharger on the Andretti Camaro is pretty simple, but it took us a full 8-hour day to reinstall and remount everything from the modified coil brackets, fuel line, and reservoir bottle, plus some simple wiring needed to connect the 2 intercooler sensor wires to the mass airflow sensor. With the new tensioner pulley installed, we routed the drive belt and installed and plumbed the intercooler pump. One tube connects to the reservoir, another to the intercooler heat exchanger. And there are several hoses to route and connect, like the check valve sensor to the brake booster. We did have to get into the fuse box to tap the intercooler pump harness into the factory harness. Finally, the air box, filter, and cover go back along with the fan assembly, followed by the new hump hose connecting the airbox to the throttle body, and reconnect the mass airflow sensor. The last step, the recycled radiator coolant goes back into the radiator, and we topped off the reservoir with a 50-50 mix of coolant and deionized water. A fresh Optima yellow top ensures everything will crank up, and to make the computer talk with the supercharger, a quick tune before fire up. All right, Richard, we're complete.
So who's gonna handle the Camaro on its road track debut? Do you have to ask? Coming up, Mario Andretti puts the supercar through the paces of speed, braking, and carbon corn. You're watching Horsepower. For a DVD copy of this episode, just go to PowerBlockTV.com and order your copy for just $5.95 plus shipping and handling. Start your own Horsepower collection, delivered right to your door from the Power Block.
We're back and done with the how-tos.
All right, Mike, you think we got everything done?
Yeah. And time for some how-does.
John, fire this thing.
That's amazing how quiet it is through the exhaust with just cat pipes.
Yeah, it's got no exhaust on it.
There's no exhaust, no mufflers on this thing whatsoever right now. Well, Richard thought of that too. In fact, they're here. And so is Mario.
The whole purpose of the project which is to create a supercar.
Yeah, this is really compact too. I mean, it looks like you didn't have to modify the hood.
No, actually.
It seemed like all the points that I would think would need to be improved to take it to the next level are touched on, you know, suspension-wise, and the braking, and basically bringing the ride height down, you know, for better stability. See, you couple that with the extra horsepower in the engine, you know, with the supercharged. It's darn good to me. And drive shaft too, I understand.
Richard covered that as well.
Drive shaft that came out.
The added horsepower could be too much strain for the two-piece shaft.
I mean, I could see some explosions here with these donuts.
Exactly. So we got this one-piece aluminum unit from the drive shaft shop.
I got the front.
It's got billet flanges and a full rotating coupler. Another performance upgrade comes from MagnaFlow with this 3-inch mandrel bent catback system. The mufflers are 20% smaller than stock with increased flow.
This is really, really a nifty package. I mean, I love that look.
This exhaust combination will give us a noticeable increase in horsepower. And we're about to find out. After these classy yet super lightweight 20-inch HRE wheels and low profile, rated for high speed Pirelli tire.
Well, you know, that's music to my ears.
A finishing touch.
We've dynoed several stock Camaros. Average wheel horsepower is 360. Mario Supercar, 475 horsepower, 480 torque.
Power really went up.
Yeah.
Big pickup.
We almost hate to cover that exhaust, but Street Scene does it with style. Not to be outdone, Rick does his magic on the hood.
Here's the finishing touch.
This is the way it should look.
Yeah, but how does it feel? This thing has great acceleration. I'm really surprised.
Yeah.
Granted, this won't test Mario's limits, but take it from me, this sucker's fast. Front end feels super.
Yeah, it really does. Just trying to throw it in here.
Slinging with Mario is a thrill of a lifetime. And a great honor to be a part of his cause.
Raising some funds for the Wounded Warriors. An injury impacts not only the individual, but the families, and they cannot be forgotten. And I think with this, we will raise some money to help that cause. It's a supercar, for sure. It falls into that category.
Now it's official. What do you think?
Hey, it's got my name on it now, and quite honestly, I'm really proud, actually.
We'll keep you posted on the auction. See you next week.